Hello everyone, hopefully you can hear me. Should be live now. Forget if I can close this, I think I can. Hello. Alright, don't have too much dead time at the start, just gonna get going. Hello everybody. Currently trying to figure this game out. It's good, but there's a certain enemy type, I'll point it out when I get to it, that I don't know how to deal with. There's also a boss that I've only really fought properly a couple of times. There's a couple of enemies I'm not sure how to deal with. But there's other stuff in the game that's very well considered, and it just makes me think that maybe I'm just missing something, you know? I haven't actually taken a run in this game all the way to the end. So this is a rare stream of a game that I haven't beaten, but I figured because it's an arcade game, it's okay. Maybe if somebody wants to give me a tip against these enemies, maybe somebody knows something I don't. Yeah, Audrius, a video, a progress report, and a stream. What's the occasion? Mostly I just want to get back to development, and I want to make sure that you're all happy that you've gotten a nice good chunk of stuff, and then I can just go back and focus on the game for a while, you know? So I figure I might as well stream, just bombard you with stuff. And then I can go off on my merry way and just make some stuff for a while. I chose this game just because I'm playing it right now myself, so figured why not. Still figuring it out, so there might be some things that I don't do right. Yeah, I like this game. There's things in it, like I haven't gotten all the way to the end, but there's things in it that make me think it's well considered, which means that the few enemy types that kind of feel like bullshit to me right now, I'm just hopeful that there's something I don't understand and I'll figure them out, you know? Because there's a lot in the game that is well considered, and it's kind of like one of those things where when you find enough stuff in a game that's good, you kind of think, well, maybe they knew what they were doing, right? So maybe I just have some bad ideas about stuff. And I just need to figure it out, and the game will get better as I figure it out, you know? The occasional smoke trails on the candles. Yeah, the game's not even going to have those Castlevania-style candles. I mean, not in the way that Castlevania has them anyway. Because like I talked about, it's more grounded, right? It doesn't just have these things that you break open and you get a power-up out of them or anything like that. So they were just something that I threw together. Just a little asset I threw together. Because I do want to be able to have like little particles appearing on stuff as needs be, obviously. This part here is probably where I'm going to die for the first time. You get 2 lives and then you're back to the beginning. I don't know if I could really make a determination between this game or Punch-Out. I've mostly played Super Punch-Out, not the original. But I think they're more different than they seem on the surface level. But yeah, like I think you more or less have the gist of it. You can move in this one, which is something, but it doesn't actually have a lot of pattern recognition, like you said. There's really just high or low. Very tight window if you want to block stuff though. So generally in the beginning I try and move out of the way of stuff. And then later I don't know what strategy I'm gonna have in the later parts of the game. Once it's all settled, if I keep playing it. But right now I'm kind of forced to block later in. It's a shame. I hate losing a life here because there's a merchant right afterwards, so you can heal up if you live through it. This guy, I don't really know what to do with him. So oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah. But you do this by hitting the 2 attack buttons at the same time. But it's extremely tight, the window on that. That's why that's not working out. I'm actually going to use my fingers to do it. But he just kind of randomly jumps back. Yeah. So basically I'm nuking that guy by using up some of my health, which means that I haven't really properly conquered him, but whatever. I can't afford the other sword yet. The green guys, you can just hit them. But for those guys, if you try to hit them first, they won't die. Oh, this is really bad, actually. I don't know why I think I usually have the other sword here. Maybe I just got bad gold drops. I do think the gold is kind of random. Yeah, like, it's important to be able to kill these insects because they give you EXP. So, but I'm not killing them in one hit, and I don't know how to kill them. I don't know how to keep them around on screen. I suppose I could use the magic, but I don't have much of it right now. I'm using a gamepad, so I'm using my thumb. That's why I said I use my fingers to trigger the 2 buttons at the same time, because it's very tight. The timing must only be like a frame or 2 or something to trigger that super attack. So one of the enemies that I can't figure out, the goat guy is like a massive jump in difficulty. But you don't have to deal with him very much. But there's a variant of that guy in the background that has kind of red on his wings and stuff. And I just don't know how to deal with him. Because the attacks, you can't juke him the way I'm juking these guys, getting out of the way of their moves. But it doesn't seem like his attack has a reactable window. Not this guy. I'll point him out when I get to him. If I get to him on this attempt, I might not. Yeah, it's pretty fun. I always forget that they show up there. It's a bit repetitive, but it's it's difficult enough to keep you on your toes anyway the whole time, I would say. My personal reaction time isn't great. It's mediocre anyway. This game is kind of like just my weak point to game. My reaction time is not my strong suit as a player. Yeah, the game over screen is pretty brutal, alright, yeah. You have to, like, when you start hitting stuff, you have to stay in front of them or you drop your combo. You also have to mash really quickly. Like, it drops very easily. I don't know, strong suit would probably be more like just decision making and, you know, figuring out systems. Granted, I do feel like there's maybe something about this game that I haven't figured out because of that enemy type, though. Didn't even get to him this time. If I can get past the goat without dying, I can get a lot further then. It's really that's the problem. And also get enough money to get that sword when I get to the merchant that time. Because the swords, they change your magic, but they also give you extra damage when you upgrade. So, makes a big difference. It means you can kill those insects. And then you get extra EXP. It all kind of adds up. Like, one of the ways this game is really well considered is... you'll see here the EXP adds up at the end of the encounter. So you only level up between encounters, right? But the first time the insects appear, if you kill every single one of them, you get just enough EXP to be at a higher level for the next encounter than you would be. And that to me is like that's a sign that somebody knew what they were doing, right? And there's just little things like that in the game that just make you think, yeah, they knew what they were at. But I don't know, maybe they just threw in some unfair shit every once in a while as well. But you know, this enemy type, when I first came across it, seemed unfair to me because it doesn't have a different animation depending on whether it goes high or low. And then you just have to work out that, you know, you're not supposed to guard it right away. You're supposed to get out of the way and then figure out which direction you're supposed to guard, you know? The knight is wireframe so you can see through him. You can see what's happening. Hello, are we still getting people saying hello? Hello, everybody. I haven't played Hyper Demon yet. No, I'll try it out soon. I'm looking forward to it. I will definitely get on that soon. It's a Neo Geo game. None of the 4 ideas I talked about are 3D. No, the games that I'm looking at right now are that I'm focusing on right now are all 2D. I do have at least one game I would like to make in 3D, but that's not on the cards right now. Okay, hopefully I can kill this guy now. Oh, I can't believe how fucking tight the timing on that is to get the special attack out. No money though, I don't have enough to buy the other sword. It's a shame. Hyper Demon looks a bit too chaotic to me. One of the things I liked about Devil Daggers is how easy it is to read everything on the battlefield. Well, I haven't played Hyper Demon yet, but I don't think that the visuals are there just to be weird. So I think maybe you should give it a chance and let it... I'm suspecting that once you play it for a while, it actually makes sense, you know? Like the thing that they've have done where they technically give you 360-degree vision is interesting, if nothing else, you know? I don't know why the gold has been so bad on both of these runs. That's such a shame. I'm losing out on tons of EXP. Yeah, I played Splatoon 3 just recently, yeah. Finished the single player recently. I actually went back and finished the Octo expansion as well, because I never finished that. So I did that beforehand. It's good. There's a lot of content in it with the single player. It's the best single player campaign of the 3 games. I don't think it's better than the Octo expansion, but it's up there, it's good. And then you have Salmon Run and the battle modes as well. It feels like it's a lot of content. Well, if you didn't like the single player in Splatoon 3, you wouldn't like it in 1 and 2. I actually went back and played 1 because I captured footage of it for the context sensitivity video. So, yeah, they've gotten a lot better at the single player, I would say. I wouldn't say Salmon Run is hugely improved, but the new bosses are all cool. They're all cool. I think they did a really, really good job on the new bosses, actually. The only thing is there's one that drives a big stick into the ground, and I think it's like it's kind of too much because you know generally speaking, you don't have enough coordination to decide who goes up there. You know, one of the things that people in Salmon Run don't seem to be very good at is playing with the weapon that they have and doing what they're supposed to do with the current weapon that they have equipped, rather than following like a kind of generic game plan, you know? So you get people trying to kill that boss that really shouldn't. But yeah, the UFO one is my favorite one. I think that's really cool. Don't know why this guy is blocking me now as well. Usually I can combo this guy and just push him into the background. Gonna have to start using the magic on these guys. Yeah, this is the enemy type I'm talking about. I don't know how to deal with this guy at all. So this is what I've been doing against it. It seems like about the best thing I can do. See, like, I'm not crazy, right? That slash is just... It's too fast to react to it. Do you think it'll be worth revisiting Splatoon games in the future for the single player, or are they dead to you once the servers go down? I would say the Octo expansion and the single player in the new one are good on their own. The single player, the first and second game, I don't know. Been a long time since I played the campaign of the second game, but the first one really isn't impressive going back to it, I think. Since Resident Evil 4 remake is coming out on the PS4, will you try it? I don't know. I don't think I'm in any rush to try it. I might not. I don't know. I played the Resident Evil 2 remake and I thought it was good, but I don't know. You know, I can't say that I'm extremely familiar with the original version of Resident Evil 2, but I did play some of it not so long ago, and I'm not familiar with the remake all that much either, you know, but there's things in the remake, or things that seem to be missing from the remake. Maybe I'm just not thinking about it hard enough, or I don't know it well enough or something. But there's things that seem to be missing from the remake that really should have been there. Bit of a spoiler, but you know, for example, the way, I forget exactly what weapon it is, but there's some weapon in the stars room that, you know, if you pick it up on scenario A, it's missing on scenario B. So there's like things that you can or can't get depending on what you do as a certain character, you know. I think personally what I would have liked as well is I would have liked to see them try to make the A and B scenarios consistent as well, you know? Because you end up with stuff like the weapon is gone, but also all the doors are locked again, you know? And I'm talking about the original here as well. It's giving you this very shallow impression that these two campaigns follow each other, but it picks and chooses what it wants to honor about that, you know? And I think that's kind of a weak point of the first game, or the original version. So I think a remake, if I was doing the remake, that would be the thing I would look at. Would be like trying to make the scenario A and B thing more coherent and consistent and stuff like that. Trying to expand on that, because I think that's the thing that makes Resident Evil 2 special, especially compared to the first game, you know? So one of the things, anyway. There's other things that they do honor in their own way, like again, spoiler here, but in Resi 2, the zombies that come through the door, um, that was never going to be a big deal in the remake because that's just kind of how things are now. But I think there's zombies there anyway. Or they did something with it that made me go, yeah, okay, like nice little nod to it, to kind of at least honor the original version in that way, for that little um, refinement on the original. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, the like what I'm getting at though is I think compared to the shooting in Resident Evil 2 remake, I haven't played 3 remake yet, but the shooting is just not the same thing as Resident Evil 4, you know? So if all they're doing is just taking the Resi 2 remake stuff and just making that with Resident Evil 4, then I don't really care. I think if that's all they do, it really has no hope of being a better game than Resident Evil 4. Because above all else, the reason I love Resident Evil 4 anyway is just that it's a great action game. It has great gameplay to it. But I don't think that I could say the same about the shooting and all that in Resident Evil 2 remake, I should really let the cutscenes play out at their usual speed so I get a chance to read the chat. Thank you, Ryan. Doing alright? Oh yeah, and by the way, there's things that I really like about the remake. I think Mr. X was really cool. Magic is the worst thing he could have given me there, so now I have to choose between the health or the sword. I'm gonna get the sword. I think there's some rats up ahead anyway, and they usually drop health. Ah! My opportunity to fucking kill these things and everything. Yeah, I should have just used the magic there. Fuck. I'm gonna get health in the next area and everything. Yeah, I've played Pikmin. Yeah, I've played all 3 of the main games. I was almost tempted to use it as an example of context insensitivity because it's just... It was kind of... I don't know, I think they did a good job of that in that game. Don't take my word for it though, I didn't actually go back and play it because I had so many other examples already anyway. So I don't know, maybe it wouldn't hold up in that way if I actually went back and played it. Oh, it's the sword! Because usually I have this sword at this point. So... Oh no, it's not. Okay, never mind. Why is he blocking me now? The last few times I've played, this guy hasn't fucking blocked me at all. Trying to do magic, but... Oh, it will let me. Okay, never mind. I really wish they had just used the 3rd button for the magic rather than the 2 buttons together. Oh. Okay. Would you recommend I get Dust Force or Celeste? They're both good. I prefer Dust Force personally, but... I don't know how much further into this game I'm going to be able to show, because it's pretty hard. I'd like to at least get into the castle, not the castle that you've seen, there's another castle. But the enemy types in there don't really change much, they just get harder. Yeah, N++ is good as well, yeah. They're all a little bit different from each other, you know? Is Crash 4 the best Crash game? I don't know. I like it a lot. And I think everybody understands this, that using something as a negative example in the video doesn't necessarily mean I feel negatively about the game, you know? So I enjoyed Crash 4 a lot. But that problem that I pointed out in the video, it is a problem. And it did kind of bug me. Like, it's not just on that one bridge level where it annoyed me, you know? Like, every once in a while I would notice it and I would get a little bit annoyed by it. And the old Crash games, like, I was thinking of maybe putting up a post on the Patreon just talking about a couple of things. Nothing major, you know? But, like, I learned a few things while I was exploring the games and doing fact-checking and stuff like that that I didn't know before. So I'll share this one with you because it's kind of interesting. It didn't make it into the video because kind of pointless and just kind of would have overcomplicated the point I was trying to make. But if you go back and play the old Crash games, you only need to play the first level of Crash Bandicoot 1 to notice this if you're looking for it. You know, I wanted to, when I was making this point about the new Crash, I was like, you know, I'm pretty sure this wasn't the way it worked in the old Crash games. And I wanted to make sure that that was the case, so of course I went back and I fact-checked it. And it isn't how it works. It doesn't have that camera relative thing, but it's a more complicated system than I thought it was. You know, what I was thinking was, in the old Crash games, the controls would just be like, up moves you further into the stage and down, like, it's just mapped, I think I said this in the video, mapped to world space rather than view space, right? I think everybody gets what that means. Up is forward, is deeper into the level from the you know, the perspective where the camera starts at the start of the level. Up will move you into it, right? But actually it's a little bit more complicated than that. Now, I don't know exactly how it works, but my guess is that there's some kind of spline, which is probably used for the camera as well. There's some kind of spline that runs down the whole level. And your forward direction on the D-pad is actually forward along the spline, rather than just... it's not just a straight movement deeper into the level. I'm going to pause for a sec so I can explain this. And one reason it works this way is because in the first level... This happens in a few places, but in the first level, for example, there's a branching path where you can go left or right. And if you go left, you know, the path has to kind of move off diagonally either way. And it has to curve then back onto a straight line. So if you press, like, once you've made your decision about which side you're moving on, then the game, like, puts you on that spline, or you're kind of like inside a spline almost. You have like a range of movement inside a spline, and up will move you along that curve. So if you just press forward, once you make the turn, if you just press forward, Crash will actually continue moving diagonally for a little bit, and then he'll straighten out. So they do this. And then another interesting thing that I discovered was there's a little bit of Uncharted 4 footage in the video. There's a couple of things I could say about that, but I'll talk about the Crash thing first. So the bit that I show in the video where Nathan is looking at the controller, that's where they play Crash in the game. And the version of Crash that you play in Uncharted 4 isn't, like, as far as I can tell, it's not an actual proper version of Crash. I don't know, to get it working smoothly in the Uncharted engine or something like that, they basically had to remake it, right? That's what it feels like anyway, especially when you notice the thing that I'm talking about. So they kind of used a different approach in there, where they didn't use the new Crash 4 camera relative approach, but it also doesn't seem to be a spline either, because, you know, maybe they they didn't think of it that way, or maybe it was just easier to do it this way. It actually seems to be a series of straight lines, maybe. So you'll see that in the original games, and again, this didn't make it into the video, so it hasn't been thoroughly fact-checked, right? But in the original games, if you just press forward, Crash will always kind of move smoothly at every moment, right? But if you're playing the Uncharted 4 version of Crash, when you press down to run away from the boulder, you'll notice that Crash kind of, he kind of snaps. So he snaps. It's like he's moving along a series of straight lines rather than a spine. Every once in a while the level will turn a little bit, and Crash's movement angle will just snap a little bit to the left or to the right. It's not quite as smooth. And of course, it's just a little mini game in Uncharted 4, so it doesn't matter that much. But it goes to show that they probably looked at the original and thought about how it was done there and tried to replicate it at least a little bit. Whereas in the newer games, they just go with the camera approach, which is what platformers do these days, you know. It's like I said, it's something that's happening in a lot of games all the time, right? So yeah, and actually another thing, and I'm gonna, yeah, this isn't, again, this isn't relevant to the topic of context sensitivity, or at least maybe it is a little bit, but it feels like maybe it falls under the purview of a different topic, but it interrelates to some extent. But you know, what I said when I was talking about it in the video was that context sensitivity, one of the things that it does is it can remove the possibility of failure, right? And I'm there playing Uncharted 4 to get footage. You know, I knew I wanted footage of like somebody being boosted up somewhere or something like that, right? And I thought I'll play Uncharted 4 because then I can get that controller bit and I can get Crash if I want to use the Crash from that game as well for whatever reason. So it was a good game to play to get a few different pieces of footage. And I'm playing it and I'm thinking, okay, where does a boost happen? And the part that I got was, oh, that's what I was talking about. Look, I got just enough EXP to level up. Anyway, the part that I was showing is Nathan and his brother early on in the game. And actually, this really stood out to me like a sore thumb, because obviously I'm playing it with the topic of context sensitivity in mind, you know. And I'm sure this bugged me on my first playthrough, but something about this really rubbed me the wrong way this time. There's a bit where you get the grappling hook. I think it's the first time getting the grappling hook as like modern Nathan, right? And you go over and his brother kind of taunts him a little bit about like, oh, what if you miss or something, you know? And you get a prompt, because obviously it's just an extremely like it's a bare bones grappling hook, at least to initiate the action, right? I do think like some of the context sensitivity goes away when you're actually on the hook, because you can actually do a fair amount with the ropes when you're on them, but like to initiate the action, it's as context sensitive as any other grappling hook you can think of, right? So it's just a prompt sitting there on a wooden beam, L1, right? And you, for this particular moment in the game, you press L1 to initiate the grapple. The same way you would initiate any other grapple in the game, only this one fails because Nathan has been taunted about it by his brother. And man, I don't even know how to, like, that just feels so wrong to me, you know? Because there's just no room for player skill to enter the equation at all. You know what I mean? It's just like any other grappling hook in the game. And the thing is as well, later in the game, you know, you'll be sliding down a pit where if you fall into the pit, you're dead, right? And you have to grapple all of a sudden to, like, to avoid dying, right? And all you can do is just press the L1 button when the prompt appears. So it's like, this is the only time ever where it fails, is just this one little scripted interaction. And then in every other scenario, even where your life is at stake, you're supposed to just know that pressing the L1 button is a guaranteed grapple to every grapple point in the game, right? There's something really, really wrong about that. Really, really wrong. I don't think that scene should have been included in the game, as is anyway. And of course, the ideal, and I can understand why it doesn't work this way. You know, like grappling hooks aren't evil, right? You know, but let's just imagine that there was some grappling hook that, like, there was a way of initiating the grapples where your skill actually mattered. You know, I think it does work this way in The Last of Us Part 2, where you actually have to throw the rope yourself, right? You can't just press a button. There are moments where you have to make like a swing for yourself, and you have to throw the rope over some object and let it hang where it hangs and jump onto it, you know? If it worked that way and there was some scripted interaction for what happens if you fail, that would be great. But it's the fact that you're forced to fail this thing even though it has no skill-based element to it. It's... I don't know. Again, I think this is actually some kind of different problem rather than just a context sensitivity problem, but it's not good. I don't know how to say, but it really rubbed me the wrong way. You know, I'm already like hyper focusing on context sensitivity and going, okay, I don't really want to do more grappling, you know? Like, one of the things, this took basically an entire day, but one of the things was just I went and got a bunch of footage for grappling hooks, you know? And I actually had too much. I overestimated how much time I would have to show a bunch of different grappling hooks in the video. So I had to put them earlier in the video so as to not feel like it was a total waste of time to get them, you know? That's why there's some Persona 5. There's another grappling hook at some point earlier in the video. But the bit where I was talking about how many, you know, it's laughable how many grappling hooks there are in games these days, I kind of wanted a barrage there, and I just realized it was too short to do that, you know? But I'm like going around looking for grappling hooks and just... yeah, I did not enjoy that interaction, you know? Like, I suppose I'm supposed to find it fun that maybe Nathan got flustered by his brother and his brother has a little bit of a laugh of him and blah, 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 you know? I didn't enjoy it at all, though. Yeah, I did talk about the grappling hook in the Axiom Verge Environmental Station Alpha one, yeah. It seems obvious now, but yeah, I think that is one of the things that makes the grappling hooks better in that game, is their lack of context sensitivity, you know? I'm using up too much magic here, but I don't know why those guys are blocking me now. Is that health? Yeah, it is. That's good. Only 6 magic left, though. No, not all grappling hooks are context sensitive. I think, and like, first of all, I'm not the arbiter on what is context sensitive, right? I don't necessarily have a great answer for everything that you'd ask me. But obviously, I think there's gradations to things, you know? Like, I think the one in Ocarina of Time is interesting to think about because it's context sensitive in some way, in the sense that there are only a very limited number of surfaces where you can actually grapple to them. So that's kind of a context sensitive thing. But you do freely aim it yourself, you know what I mean? So it's actually, it feels like pretty low on context sensitivity, I think. Just for that fact, that the fact that you aim it yourself, and there's the possibility for you to miss the grapple, right? You might get it wrong. You might not hit the correct surface. Things like that. You have complete control over it as well. You have no like... yeah, there's no... The computer isn't... It's like the eye tracker example that I gave in the video, you know? The computer isn't interfering to figure out where you really want to grapple. It's just saying, okay, fire the hook shot. If it hits a certain surface, all good. If not, no go. Now this is a good run now to get this far without having died once. If you take the other route to the munitions room, you can get a sword. But if anybody picks this up, I'll give you a tip. So you can close your ears if you don't want to hear it, right? But I'll give you a tip. You can go to the munitions place to get a better sword. But the magic spell it has is really powerful. It turns enemies into a scarecrow that's basically helpless. But if you use it, you don't get EXP for them. You only get 1 EXP point, right? So you have to be careful about how you use it. So I'm trying to avoid using it. As well, now that I made the video, I want to say, you know, people have been asking me about Zelda and stuff, like what I want out of the next Breath of the Wild. My number one thing that I want them to do is just to continue caring about contact sensitivity the way that they seem to before. That's actually the number one thing I want out of the game, personally. Of course, I would like if they stuck to the level of freedom that was on offer in Breath of the Wild. I think that would be cool. I don't know if they will actually do that, but I think even more than that, just trying to keep it low on that context sensitivity thing. That would matter immensely to me. That would mean that I'm probably going to enjoy all the time I spend in the game, you know? Do you think they're hiding the main thing for the new Zelda? Yes and no. I don't necessarily know that there is a main thing, right? I think they've actually showed quite a lot if you put it together. They have... Oh, and by the way, sorry, before I go off on that, I think there has been a little glimmer that they are going to... Like, again, there's so many things that get omitted from the videos because it just would be too time-consuming. And I wish I had talked about it a little bit more in the Breath of the Wild review itself, but there are things about Breath of the Wild that make it less context sensitive, like the idea that you just put a stick into the fire like I was talking about. But I think also the way that they did certain classic Zelda things does that, right? Like the fire rod in the old Zelda games was an item that you used, whereas in Breath of the Wild it's a weapon, because having it be a weapon means that you know exactly how to use it, right? It works like any other weapon in the game, and then it doesn't feel like it's this different thing that you have to pull out to make it happen. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway. Yeah, so there's that. And I think there's a hint that they're doing, that they still have this in mind for Tears of the Kingdom, which is there's a scene in one of the trailers where Link kind of spits fire at an enemy, and if you look at it, it looks like it's his shield that's doing it. So there's some kind of action just built into the shield, using the shield, like probably instead of the parry. So like that shield probably can't parry, but instead if you do a parry action, it'll spit fire, right? So you know exactly how to use it once you pick it up. But it doesn't feel like this whole other system that's bolted onto the game. It's just an action that's built into the shield. You know what I mean? So yeah, somebody asked me, do I think they're hiding things? Some of the stuff that they've shown just by itself, or maybe not by itself, but in the context of the whole game, probably adds up to a lot. You know, the thing where you go through the ceiling up to the floor above, and the thing where you can reverse time on certain objects. I think maybe they showed one more power at some point, maybe. But those two things alone are pretty big. You know, you think just about the stuff you can do with stasis in Breath of the Wild, and now like maybe you can do stasis and time reversal. I'm not sure if stasis is still in, right? But maybe you can do them both. It's like, it's a combinatorial kind of thing. They talk about this in the GDC talk that I referenced in the video. They talked about multiplicative mechanics, where these things all kind of feed into each other and stuff, you know? So yeah, I think that they've shown something in that regard. What they're really holding off, and what I do think they're holding off on, is just like moment to moment content that they haven't revealed. Like they haven't shown any major new enemy types. There's maybe one or two in the all the videos that they've shown so far. They haven't shown any new locales. And yeah, I think they're holding off on that stuff intentionally, and I'm glad that they are. I'm glad they are. If people right now say, oh man, the game looks bad because they haven't shown much and I can't believe it's taken this long, well, like, there's a chance they're correct. Do I think they're correct that, like, that's all there's going to be in the game is just a couple of empty sky islands and there's not even going to be any new enemy types or anything? No. I think the fact that it's been in development for 6 years with already a strong base to work from means that they're probably just making a ton of content that they're going to put into the game. And assuming that turns out to be the case, anybody who thinks that that's not happening will just have their perception corrected when the game launches or shortly before the game launches. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to know this far in advance what they're adding to Breath of the Wild 2. You just don't need to know. And I'm really glad that they've decided to go that way with it, you know? You don't need to know. I expect that they will show more before the game releases. I mean, like, if we're talking hype benefits companies, right? If you're talking about yourself as a person, you yourself as a person, right? You do not need to know anything about Tears of the Kingdom. You don't need to know anything at all about it until the day it releases, right? If they come up with a trailer on the day that it releases that explains what the game is about, what has changed? Like, maybe you didn't get to pre-order the game, I suppose. Maybe you lose out on a pre-order bonus or something, which probably shouldn't exist in the first place, right? But excluding that, you've lost nothing by not knowing anything about the game, and because you can't play it anyway, right? You can't play Tears of the Kingdom yet, so you don't need to know anything about it. Okay? Just wait until it comes out, and then if you're still on the fence, watch the trailer when it comes out and go, oh, do I want to buy this game or not? Now that I can buy it, do I want to buy it, you know? So I'm glad that I expect when the game is about 3 months out, I reckon Nintendo will do a bigger showing of it. Maybe even less than that, though. It might be something like 2 months or 1 month or something like that. But I expect when it's on the way, when it's very close to release, they will show more. They won't wait till release day, like I'm saying. But they don't need to. They don't need to show anything. The reason that people show stuff, it's really not dissimilar from the reason I show stuff on my game, right? The reason I show stuff, getting distracted now, I'm not gonna keep that one. The reason I show stuff on my game, right? I would be happy to just work on it in the dark, but I can't fund that, you know? So I have to show patrons stuff so that they know that I'm making a game, and they can decide for themselves when they see the update, is he making decent progress? Is this even a game I care about? You're right? Or, you know, is there just even enough stuff in the video that's interesting that I feel like it was worthwhile, right? The stuff that he broached in the video got me thinking, and maybe that's enough for me to keep my pledge for another month or something. That's the reason why I do it, and actually that's the reason why companies show you trailers as well, because if they see no interest in the game, then they drop it, right? So, or they say, okay, we need to dial back the amount of money that's being assigned to this project and, you know, push it over here to this other game that had a trailer which got much more interest, you know? So it's kind of the same thing. It's just about, you know, getting stuff funded, right? That's why trailers happen. They don't really benefit you as a consumer, though, you know? This actually relates to Hyper Demon. I haven't played it yet, right? I will soon. I'm looking forward to it. It's just that I'm still playing Splatoon 3 right now, and I don't want to have another shooter. But I think I'm about ready to move on. And Anyway, so like I didn't know about Hyper Demon until yesterday. I didn't need to know about Hyper Demon until yesterday. Very soon I will play Hyper Demon and I'll probably enjoy it, right? That's great. That's cool. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I do think there's some slim chance that Tears of the Kingdom turns out to be disappointing. Like maybe COVID fucked them, or they just had certain ideas that never got off the ground or something. You never know, you know. So maybe the game will disappoint. But I would imagine, given Nintendo's track record and given the fact that they have a very strong base to build off of with Breath of the Wild, that development has mostly proceeded smoothly. And that they've just been working on content the whole time. What are the odds that Tears of the Kingdom is outright bad? I would say they're very low. Very, very low. I think the odds that it will like vaguely disappoint me personally in a couple of ways are a lot higher. Because for me, there was like an ideological commitment to freedom in Breath of the Wild that I find really admirable, especially since it was such a big budget game, you know? And I think that it will be hard to do that again because basically I think, you know, they're gonna probably what they want to do is they want to just put some regular dungeons in and force people to go through the 7 dungeons or whatever it is, because it looks like there's 7 doodads in the new trailer. And then you fight the end boss. And I would be fine with that. Like, that's still the same level of freedom that prior Zelda games have had. But, like, to me, there's just something so appealing about the fact that you go into a divine beast and you can actually get all of the things in any order inside of it as well, you know? Like, the level that they of commitment to it was just astonishing, I think. I'm not sure, I don't know. Maybe I'm just mad, you know, but it felt like a very deliberate thing to me. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it felt like a very deliberate thing when I played it. And I love that about it. So I think there's a decent chance that Tears of the Kingdom will kind of let that go a little bit. And, you know, like, I'm fine with certain pieces of content being locked off, but, like, one of the things I would love to see is... Okay, this will never happen, right? But imagine the overworld is kind of similar, right, to what it was, except obviously there's holes torn out of it, right? And then there's... Now, again, I want to stress, this will never happen, right? This is just a wild dream, right? There's holes torn out of it by the stuff that goes up into the air, okay? So you kind of have 3 levels of content then, hopefully there's stuff under the ground as well. We don't actually know that yet, but hopefully, right? So there's 3 levels of content. The overworld is more or less similar to the way it was before, you know, new enemy types, new encampments, maybe things have changed, there's a new town and an old town is gone and little things like that, okay? Things to rediscover there in the overworld. Up above the clouds, kind of more tightly wound, like, I don't want to say micro, but smaller pieces of content where there's, you know, of course you can go to many different Sky Islands in many different orders and there's like little challenges on each one, right? Because I think the Sky Islands will be a good way of restricting players from just flying over stuff. As I talked about in the video, I talked about that as a problem for the overworld that I would like to see them try to solve. So you have all these kinds of miniature pieces of content, and then again, this is the part that will never happen, right? So don't get your hopes up. But under the ground, instead of it being a bunch of different dungeons, there's one big mega dungeon, and all of the parts on top of the ground are all leading into the same place. So that depending on where you go in underground, you actually end up in a different place of the same big dungeon. And that way, there's like many different ways that you can tackle all of the stuff that was in it. You know, to me, that would be like the perfect middle ground of giving people dungeon content that they obviously want, but also having it be approachable from any angle and preserving the freedom that Breath of the Wild had, right? And yeah, it is a little bit like Phantom Hourglass, so I suppose there's a shred of hope there for that, you know? But I think that would be the perfect middle ground for me, right? That would be the part where, like, you get all the juicy dungeon content, right? But you don't have to give up that kind of ideological purity that Breath of the Wild really had. Maybe instead of thinking of it as a dungeon, just think of it as a separate overworld, right? Because it would probably be very big, but it's just more cramped, and like there are cavernous areas that you can go into, but it's all interconnected with each other, you know? That fucking enormous ask design-wise. Absolutely enormous, right? So, you know. Yeah. Seriously, don't get your hopes up, because if you're picturing it, you're already like underestimating what a huge amount of work it would be to do something like that, you know? But I'm just saying, pure dream world scenario, that's what I'd be hoping for. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. High hopes, low expectations. Very low expectations, yes. Expect it to be a worse game than Breath of the Wild somehow, right? Even though it looks like it shouldn't be. You know, maybe the reuse of the overworld is just too much, and it's a worse game than Breath of the Wild because of that. Been looking forward to God of War Ragnarok at all? I'm looking forward to it more now that I have a PS5. It seems like a no-brainer to get it now. I was definitely on the fence before that because I didn't have a PS4 Pro. So it just wasn't very appealing then, you know? But now that I have a PS5, yeah. Give it a go. I hope it didn't feel like... I was kind of worried that it would feel like I was being too harsh on God of War in that context sensitivity video. It's like, it's so hard to balance all the things that are said, you know? Like one maybe minor regret that I have about that video is I probably should have included God of War in the footage when I'm talking about shooters, right? It might have clouded the point a little bit because it's not a strict shooter, but I think it might have been nice just to put it in there and show that, like, the combat, like, obviously the combat has the move assist and the soft lock stuff that I've talked about, and I do hope, like, I'm hoping, because they've been talking about accessibility options, I'm hoping that maybe there'll be accessibility options to turn that stuff off. That would be a nice thing, and it might get more people on side on the accessibility front if you give me more things I can turn off as well. But you know, like, when you set some of those problems aside, there is actually a lot about the game that's not context sensitive, right? Like, for example, Kratos's attack strings are very consistent, right? You can use them very easily. You can throw the axe very easily, right? It has some auto aim again. I'd like to be able to turn that off. I think maybe you can turn that off in God of War, right? But it's got, you know, it's got some things to it, but there's a game in there with a very low level of context sensitivity during the combat. And, like, most of the stuff I was talking about in the God of War sections of the video were the kind of stuff that Resident Evil 4 has as well. You know what I mean? And I still love Resident Evil 4. So. Yeah, it's not Arkham Asylum combat. Yeah, yeah. I really haven't been getting much money in these runs. It's a shame. Normally I can buy that sword every time it comes up without any hassle, so I don't know what's changed here. If anything. I don't know if there's some way to manipulate the amount of money that you get out of enemies. I don't mean, you know, RNG manipulation. I mean just like regular stuff that you could account for. I don't know. How did I like Monster Hunter World? Yeah, well, I haven't really talked about the Monster Hunter games because I didn't want you all to know that I was making a video. I thought maybe you'd twig it if I was playing too many Monster Hunter games. You go, maybe he's up to something. Played a bunch of them now at this point. Basically, it's been kind of nice going through the Monster Hunter series in chronological order, or roughly chronological order. I started with the first game and then I played Freedom Unite. And then I kind of jumped around a bit. Played World, then 4. And now I'm playing Generations Ultimate. Still in the middle of that one. But, like, if you start the Monster Hunter series with Monster Hunter 1, like, none of them can beat you then. Like, none of them can... It's just smooth sailing from there, because the first game is by far the fucking hardest of a lot of them. Just by virtue of the fact that the resources are so limited, you know? So it's been smooth sailing from there, really. If you've even played if Freedom Unite was even your first Monster Hunter game, the first game is so much more fucking brutal than that. It's unreal. If you go out on a hunt or you go out on a gathering session, you'll be lucky to come back with something like fucking 3 honey or something, you know? So, you know, in the newer games, you go around and you pick up honey all over the shop, and, you know, you're virtually guaranteed, even if you're chugging mega potions all the time, you're virtually guaranteed to come back with more than you left with, right? Whereas in Monster Hunter 1, it's like, you know, you're fighting Rathalos and you've used 3 mega potions and you're like, well, I don't even, do I reset? You know, what do I do here? Because this has cost me so much. This has cost me everything, right? I can't do this anymore. And, yeah, and I did it without any guides or anything, which is fucking brutal in some ways. Like, I still don't know if this is true or not, but I tried using the barrel bombs in the first game and they felt fucking terrible. When I used them, I'm pretty sure they do fuck all damage, you know? And I also had to learn that when the monster goes back to sleep, it heals. Which isn't really obvious to me, honestly. It feels like they should have to eat to heal, you know? But like I was trying not to rush. Like sometimes when it went back to sleep, I'd like pick up a couple of things and then go, or like... I wasn't being a dumbass about it, you know, but I didn't have that kind of must pursue monster now mode switched on the way that I do now. So yeah, so if you can beat Monster Hunter 1, it's smooth sailing from there. It's smooth sailing. I actually knew very little about the series, you know. I talked about it one time during E3. I said that Monster Hunter World looked kind of appealing to me and maybe I'd get into the series at some point, even though, you know, I didn't really have any interest in them. So I really knew very little. For example, I didn't know about the palicos, right? I knew there was cats in the games, and there's cats even in the first game. But I didn't know that you get a cat of your own. So I boot up Freedom Unite, and I'm like, what? I have a cat? And the cat stands with me and distracts the monsters? Like, sometimes the monster will look at the cat instead of me. Is that what you're telling me right now? That alone is just a huge fucking thing. You know, you don't have that in the first game. Like, if you need to use a whetstone, it's just wait for him to lock into some long animation, because if you don't wait, you're fucked, right? So you better, like, an opportunity that you would have used to attack, you better fucking wait and do that whetstone instead, or it's all over for you, buddy. You know? But yeah, I'm glad. I don't think you necessarily have to start with the first game in a series. And I honestly can't say I wrung a lot of enjoyment out of that first game. It was more downs than ups, probably. But well, I'm glad I played it. You know, I'm not going to do some big Monster Hunter breakdown, but I do think there's something about the series that isn't necessarily present anymore, and it's nice to be aware of that, you know? Like, look, it's kind of what I'm talking about, where collecting items, it's not very fun, but at the same time, at least in the first game, it felt like there was a real risk of going into an encounter and losing. Like, even if you win, doing such a poor job that you come out worse off in some ways, you know? Yeah, I don't know how to put it. But then again, you can always grind, like you can always do an easy mission and go and pick up honey that way, you know? So it's really just more time consuming is all. I don't know. Yeah, the preparation aspect of the early games, I do wonder if it's kind of illusory though. Like I'm saying, you could always farm, even in the first game. You could always just go, oh, I'm going to go kill a Velocidrome because that's what I really want to do, when actually what you really want to do is just go and pick up some honey, you know? So, I don't know. Is that enough? Oh, okay. Oh, that silver coin is actually worth a lot more than I thought. My favorite weapon is probably the switch axe. Basically been trying to use a different weapon in each game, so the switch axe was the one I used in World, and I think it's my favorite. It's actually higher in contact sensitivity than some of the other weapons, though, I would say, because it has that move where you latch on to the monster. I think that makes it ever so slightly more contact sensitive than some of the other weapons. Ironically enough. But yeah, I just like the revving attack and the swing that you can do over and over again, wild swing thing. Gun lance is very good in Rise. I might play the gun lance in Rise. Yeah, I haven't used the gun lance yet. I've used the greatsword, the longsword, the insect glaive, the charge blade, and the switch axe. And the switch axe is my favorite. Even though the charge blade is probably a lot stronger. The charge blade, I think the best thing about the charge blade is just having such a great setup for when the monster goes asleep. Like I can't remember the amount of times that I finished a hunt just by having the monster go asleep and then just doing that big fucking ultra move on its head and killing it instantly, you know? But switch axe is my favorite so far. I might play the gun lance in Rise. I played the demo for Rise. I haven't actually bought it. I'd like to play the PC version, but my PC is in shambles at this point, and well, I don't think we really got especially good news today about the new fucking GPU prices. I was hoping for better news today. For anybody not sure what I'm talking about, Nvidia just revealed the 4000 cards and the prices are fucking insane on them. Yeah, my PC can run Mushido. I suppose that's all that counts, but it only runs Mushido because the collisions are immaculately optimized. Yeah, way too late on that. Ah, fuck. I'm fucking dead. No. There is, if you just guard high or low, there is obviously a 50-50 chance that he'll bounce off. I'm not happy about dying here, but I'll keep going here. Do the fucking super thing. What the fuck? So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I will get Rise on the fucking Switch after all. I'm not buying one of them new cards. I know that much. Not at those prices anyway. Yeah, I figure Rise would run well. Because the RE engine seems to be well optimized, but I don't know. I don't know. It's a little frustrating because there is like some things that I would have liked to include in the, or like that I would have liked to have the option to include in the video, you know, like for the shooter bit, maybe Ghostwire would have been a nice fit there because it's shooting, but it looks different, you know. But I haven't played it because I don't want to play it on console. So I'll get around to it eventually. The upshot is whenever I do upgrade my PC, I'll have like a fucking billion games to play anyway. No, my PC's not worse than a Switch, but like at that point, what's even the fucking point, you know? I might as well just get the Switch version. Because it's not that much better. Well, it's better than a Switch, it's just like, it wouldn't be a noticeable jump in quality, I would expect. Like, not a big one. I think it would probably struggle to hit 60 FPS. Yeah, I should try the demo. Yeah, actually, that's good advice. I forgot that there's a demo on Steam as well. I played the demo on the Switch. Yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking about that, Zenny. I might go for a Steam Deck. It might be the best sort of middle ground. Maybe they just miscalculated and the prices will drop. Well, I'm open to getting a 3000 series or something from AMD. But the prices are just mad, you know? Basically, I was just hoping that they would drop. The 3000 series would drop. Hopefully it will. Yeah, they know what they can get away with now, so they're going to try and push their luck as hard as they can. Oh yeah, the new Bayo gameplay. I think it looks good, fellas. I don't know. I don't know if it'll top Bayo 1, but so far, if I had to guess based on the footage that we've seen, I'd say it's probably going to be better than Bayonetta 2. If I had to guess. I think it looks solid. I love the spider form. It looks cool. Oh, well, sorry about what I just said, Chris, because you didn't know about that. If you haven't been watching the trailers, but yeah. I'm not as concerned about spoilers with Bayonetta because I'm mostly just going to be playing it for the gameplay anyway, you know? Thoughts on the GTA 6 leaks? Well, I haven't really looked at them very much. Pretty crazy that such an extensive leak happened, though. To Rockstar, you know, of all people. Yeah, I do think it's kind of sad for the developers, you know. I hope it doesn't impact their motivation too much. It is what it is, though. I don't think it'll really harm the game in the long run anyway, you know? Maybe, I don't know. I haven't really looked at it, so I don't know. The weird thing about this game is once you get here, you end up with way too much gold. The highest tier of weapon only costs 2,000, so I don't know why the game showers you with gold at this point. Again, I feel like there could be something I'm missing there. I don't think so, but maybe it's for the two-player mode. I've been at this a while, so I will. I didn't actually expect to get past the first major boss. Um, did I even get to him? The Joker guy on the card? Been kind of zoned out answering questions and stuff. I think I got to him, right? I have a save here. I'll load this. This is after the Joker card boss. Though I have a new weapon now, but it's really powerful, but it's much slower, so it's harder to dodge people with it. You see a few new enemy types here then as well. Are 3D platformers obsolete? No, I definitely wouldn't say so. This is another thing that didn't make it into the video because it just complicates things without like actually being totally relevant. But I think like one of the things that hurts Bowser's Fury is the fact that it has a run button, which is mapped to Y. And maybe there's another button you can use for it. I don't think I tried, but and then, you know, and you're expected to control the camera as well as pressing the run button, and that's just not so good. But if they just got rid of that, this guy's gonna jump away probably. No. Then, you know, I don't think the inert camera, like the inert camera is, I mean, you probably guessed as much from the video. I prefer the 3D world way of doing it, but I think the inert camera is the next best choice after that, probably. So, well, it's an inert camera either way. It's just depending on like how you build the game around it or not, you know? Either way, it's an inert camera, right? It's actually better to avoid hitting these guys 4 times because you knock them into the background layer, which just lets them shoot at you. He's normally not so bad, but didn't go good there. There's an enemy coming up that I haven't bothered to figure out yet. You'll see it now in a second. Unlike the other guys, I feel confident that this enemy can be figured out, but I just haven't done it yet. It fires a bunch of eyeballs at you. And maybe it won't do it now. Yeah. Presumably there's some way to block these. Up, down, up, down, up, down, maybe? But normally what I do is I just... yeah, I'll try to block them. No, down, down. It's hard. It looks like it's just about doable though. Oh, I don't know. Fuck it. I'll just reload that save. But normally what I do is I just pop the magic. So the magic on this weapon is a shield. That just shields you from everything. And that gets me through the eyeballs. It actually has a lot of uses. It seems like it's kind of overpowered, honestly, because it gets 16 uses there, you see. And you seem to be basically impervious when it's up. But also your magic can be refilled by enemy drops along the way, so it's more than 16 uses, you know? Longrat. So Longrat says that Hyper Demon looks really dope, but also a bit too much for me. The readability looks poor, or something. Sorry, I'm putting words in your mouth by saying poor. The readability is too low, having seen the gameplay footage. I think you are... I think you're in... I don't know. I haven't played it yet myself. Obviously, I have to play Hyper Demon before the next stream, because everybody keeps talking about it. But I think you're not giving enough credit to the developers there. I imagine it's the kind of thing where once you play it a little bit, it'll become second nature. Like, to me, it doesn't just look like chaos. It looks like something that was built with a purpose in mind. And yes, it's weird, but that's fine. There's lots of weird things And after you spend a little bit of time with them, you get on with them. Trying to kill that goat guy without magic is crazy, because basically when you hit him, you're only allowed to hit him 3 times, and then on the 4th time he blocks, and then he goes into a, he blocks you, and then he goes straight into an attack. And then the rules about whether or not you can hit him kind of become a little bit unclear. That 4th attack was a mistake. I have to get out of that habit. But I like that about it. Like, this is another way that I think the game is really well considered, you know? The fact that there's like a punishment now for using your 4th attack on that enemy type. That's really cool. I have played Mr. Driller Drill Land, but I don't remember that much about it. There's some kind of Tower of Druaga mode in it or something, isn't there? I think I enjoyed that. I've barely fought these guys, so I don't know exactly what to do. It seems like you kind of have to get into a back and forth with them where you hit them once. Seems like they block basically after one hit. Which is pretty tough, but... Did you finish Iceborne? I'm pretty sure I did, yeah. I'd ask the chat what to do, but it'll force me to make a choice because it's an arcade game, so there won't be time for you to give your input, unfortunately, fellas. This looks like the better way, at least for the state that I'm in right now, though, because you get food, so I'll have to keep that in mind. It's kind of similar to the warehouse or the kitchen choice from earlier. forget if I have a life left. If I do, I think I'm doing pretty well here. I'm not sure I've actually seen what's inside this castle yet. Do I? I do, cool. Yeah, you really can't hit these guys more than once. It's pretty fucking harsh. I suppose thanks to the axe they don't take very many hits, but still. Or what is it, a halberd or something like that? Fuck. Okay, it looks like maybe I can hit him first. He might block randomly, but maybe I can hit him first. Maybe that's his weakness. Kind of looks like it. Yeah, this is kind of a flaw with the game where you get into these situations where you're having a back and forth with the enemy where like they've blocked you when they're doing a counterattack, and now it means that even if you block them, like, or if you catch them out and hit them back, you're kind of not allowed anymore until everything resets. But there's no clear visual indication of when things are back to being neutral again, you know? And normally on those red guys you can hit them several times before they'll block. But once you get into this kind of blocking phase, then there's like a window of time where they'll just block constantly. But it's not clear. It's not clear that they're in that window or out of it. I was a little annoyed about how much I had to use the shield there, but I got it all back anyway. Should probably initiate on them more readily. I thought that maybe they could block your first attack, but maybe they can't. That would make them a lot easier. Oh yeah, I gotta remember to try and initiate on the fish guys. Fuck. What the fuck? Cool. I don't know what the shields do as well. That's another question mark. Maybe it just reduces the depletion of the stamina gauge or something. I don't know exactly. But you get gifted shields at 2 different points. And I actually don't know what they do, if anything. Oh, you fucker. If I can stay alive just a bit longer, I can get to the rats up ahead with the food. Come on, hit me. Hit him. I like that the items fly up from the top of the screen as well. It's not relevant most of the time, but if you're trying to kill the insects in some of the levels, it can be relevant. It's interesting that you can just hit him. It's a very counterintuitive strategy to just be able to hit this guy. Kind of sneaky almost. Well, like I said in the video, Joseph, I don't know, the flea might have too many frames of animation on it, honestly. Maybe I can't hit him? I don't know. I don't know how to deal with these guys. Just trade hits one by one. It's pretty funny that that guy comes in like a fucking transformer, isn't it? He's like a fucking Autobot. Oh, red guy. Whoa, what the fuck? Okay. Oh, fuck. Okay, I might as well just use the magic here. Maybe I should do the trust. I think maybe the trust is good against him because he's kind of weak in the middle. Maybe. I've never seen this far. There's a ship. Looks like maybe there's another split path there unless I have to do all of those. Oh! I can call the merchant again. Maybe I can spend my gold on something. No. Shield axe DX. Miss sword. Shield axe probably the best thing. Still. I'm outside again. I didn't expect to be out in the daylight again. Oh! Okay, it doesn't seem so bad. It just looks like another kind of more or less regular enemy. I was wondering if skeletons would pop up because there's skeletons in the... Oh, fuck! There's skeletons in like the intro video. Oh, this is good for EXP anyway. Oh, fuck. How? What the fuck are you supposed to do against that? I feel like I'm just cheesing this. What are you supposed to do against this, though? Seriously, what are you supposed to do against that? If you don't have the magic that I have, what the hell do you even do there? Lift it. Oh! Maybe if you hold this up? Oh, look at that! Okay, I died for that, but... I think that new shield gets held up higher than before. I think it kind of covers your head in a way. That the other things don't. No, that maybe that would work as well. I don't know. Maybe it is. It's higher than I thought. Although there's actually no way to know. It's actually irrelevant because you can't even fight a crab without the other shield. There's no way to turn the shield down, so it's actually totally irrelevant. The shield is just the shield at whatever point you have. You would need to have an encounter before and after. I wonder if this shield upgrade does anything though as well, you know? Like, I was thinking maybe the shield kind of makes the enemy's stunned reaction last a bit longer. But I don't know. I don't think it does. Yeah, it does say it's for the fish people, yeah. It's almost disappointing. Maybe there's more of these eye guys later on, but it's almost disappointing that I don't have to deal with this thing's attacks because there's so much magic on the axe. Destroy them with this shield. So maybe it's useful against the fish monsters somehow. Presumably. Maybe there's an action I've been missing. But like up, down, up, up. Because there's some things that aren't explained to you. Like there's I haven't even used it here, but there's a kind of a move that knocks the enemy back into the back row. You do the magic button, but you hold your shield back when you do it. And then the fire, or not fireball, but the kind of magic thing I was firing at guys earlier was holding forward. Maybe there's something you can do with the shield that I haven't thought of yet. Thanks, Tyler. I don't know if you'll catch this if you're rewinding now, but thanks. I think I'm still on my first life on this one, right? This guy's hit like a fucking truck. Hell. Always forget that you can't combo them. Or maybe it's the shield spell. I can't do it now. Oh, I can. No. Huh. I don't know, I'm at a loss. Yeah, no, that spell isn't new. It's I just haven't done it on stream yet. It's the same spell you get always if you hold down and do the special. It's a bit weird that you can combo those guys even though they're a later game enemy than the red ones. I don't know how to read this thing's attacks at all. Luckily I don't have to. Maybe it would be worth changing, I don't know. Probably another merchant up ahead where you can change back. Maybe in the next chapter or something, I don't know. It's probably not the last merchant of the whole game though. It's interesting though, because there's only one merchant at the start of that chapter, but I think some of the chapters have two. Oh! That's pretty cool, because that's the spell that's on the first sword that you get in the game. I didn't use it. But you have a fireball spell on the sword, so it's almost like they're the ones that didn't make it, you know? Okay, I figured out the bubbles, but I don't know how to deal with the bubbles and the fucking crab at the same time. The crabs are very unfun so far. I don't know if I'll ever get them down, but they don't read very well. It's kind of a disappointing enemy so far. I was just about to say, it looks like that ship's not on water. Oh, that's kind of cool. The magic on this weapon is really strong. Really, really strong. You just don't have to bother with half the enemies. Oh! What the fuck? Oh, this is cool. Whoa. Oh, it hits hard. I didn't see how low my health was. Feel like I should have gone the other way. I don't know. They're both probably full of skellies, but whatever. I gotta stop using the magic now. I'm running out. I have to save it for that guy in the background if I can. Oh, I don't need it on these guys. I can bait them just like the other ones. They're not so bad. Maybe. Whoa. Some magic. Their animations are quite hard to read, I think, the skeletons. Probably the hardest of a lot of them so far. Just want to see what's in the next room. I gotta start timing these, yeah. I nearly made a big mistake there by assuming that the shield would hold out. Okay, I'm out of magic. It's all over when I step into this next room, I think. What awaits? Up the stairs. I don't know. I've never seen this far. I will die here indeed. Yeah, he's got that much right. Look at all this gold. If only I could buy some potions with the gold or something. Okay, that's that. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one more run where I start from the beginning of the game. See how far I can get. Probably not that far. I'll be happy if I can get to the Joker guy. But, and then I'm going to end the stream, alright? So, we'll start from the very beginning. Hopefully this will be a bit easier now that I've been playing the harder levels. Probably not though, because I've been abusing the fuck out of that shield magic, so we might be in for a quick one here. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed the stream. It'll be a little while yet, hopefully. 1 CC in the bag. Honestly, the Joker boss, I haven't even fought him on stream, but he's the hardest thing in the game so far. And then I think if I was going to get a 1cc, it would kind of depend on how much magic I got once I get to the seaside. You know, and whether I can continue to abuse that shield thing. It's really those winged enemies that you can't dodge that seem to attack too fast. The Joker boss, which I probably just haven't figured out because I haven't fought it very many times. And the crabs, though. The crabs are not fun. Maybe they'll get fun when I figure them out, but... yeah, the crabs are really not fun. Feels so fast now without the halberd or axe, whatever it is. Have you watched anything good lately? I watched The Rehearsal. Nathan Fielder's new show. It's good. You might not expect me to like it with, you know, all the shit I said in meta micro videos about meta being easy. But then again, meta micro videos itself is kind of meta, right? So and there's certainly aspects of it that I think are just a little bit too easy, you know. But I'm gonna give a big spoiler here for The Rehearsal, which is well worth watching if you haven't watched it. The Rehearsal, it's called. It's a HBO show. Like there's moments in it that are just fantastic. You know, they're so surreal that they just where the thing wraps back around on itself and it just becomes phenomenal. Like my favorite part of the whole season is the part with the bar where you know, first of all, they make the fake bar, and okay, that's the rehearsal for the first guy, you know? But then they have it shipped to the new location, and it doesn't quite fit, which is kind of funny. But then, after it's been sitting there for a while, they build a big, long tunnel, and they get people to come in as though it's an actual bar, and, like, I don't know how much of the show is real. I choose to believe that this part of it is real, because I think that it just falls apart if it's not real, right? So, and I think that they do go to absurd lengths to preserve the reality of it sometimes. You know, the idea that this fake bar that was built just for this guy for his trivia night then gets brought halfway across the country and put into a different building where it gets actual customers and becomes a real bar again, in some sense, because the patrons don't even know that it's fake. There's something mind-bending and like wonderful about that. Just when you watch it, it's just, I don't know. It's you know, I don't know how thought-provoking it is even, but it's just this kind of wonderfully fucked up thing about the fake thing wraps all the way around to becoming the real thing again, you know. So yeah, I thought that was great. And of course, there's that kind of happens again in the last episode. The last episode is one of my favorite episodes in it because I didn't see it coming. I didn't know what the last episode was going to be, and it was pretty intense. So, yeah. Is The Rehearsal a comedy? Not really, I wouldn't call it a comedy. It can be funny, but it's just more this weird... It's just weird and cool and interesting. You know, it doesn't have to be a drama or a comedy or whatever. It's kind of like, if you had to put it in any category, it's almost like reality TV, but with a madman behind the camera, you know? You got a bee on your hat. By the way, I saw that message earlier that somebody watched The Sopranos, and because of me talking about it on stream, glad to get someone else into it. Phenomenal show, absolutely phenomenal. Whatever happened there? As long as this guy drops money, it's okay. If he drops anything else, I'm fucked. Okay, money. Nearly missed that guy. I forgot about him till the last second. There's a little bit of randomness on where those insects come in, which is good, if there is. I think I got all the bugs so far, that's good. Wasted a piece of magic there. So wait, I already have this thing, right? Yeah, you are using it now. I should probably experiment with the Thunder Sword. Maybe it's worth it just for the increased damage, assuming it has increased damage. The magic doesn't seem as good as the magic on this one though. It's kind of like a burst damage thing. But the good thing about the magic on this one is it locks enemies down, or at least some enemies. Yeah, maybe it's not worth it because a lot of enemies can actually just jump back out of it. And the enemies I used to use to lock this with this sword, I used to use it to lock certain enemies in place, but I kind of don't need to. I've gotten better at dodging them. So maybe I should be getting the Thunder Sword. I need to think about that. Going alright, lowbrow. Just got some videos out, got a main one out and a sub one out. An update one. And thought I'd have a little stream. Kind of bombard you with stuff before I leave again. Using a lot of magic here. Of course he blocks. Of course. Fuck. Alright, well, I'm going to be on full health now when I have to make this decision about where to go. So what I'll do is I'll show the ammunition place instead. If I can get there. I forgot about this fucking room. I'll show you that other sword as well. The last time I went this way, I only noticed something about this sword as well. I think this is really cool. Most of the swords, they kind of lose their charge when you're blocking, or if you get hit, stuff like that. But they have different conditions on them, evidently, because the magic sword that you get here, it charges up when you're blocking. So I'll have to remember to try and take advantage of that. Might not get to it after all. I'm going to be really low on health now because I have to fire at that guy in the background. Could have got him in one cycle as well. It's all over. It's going to be an unceremonious end. Alright, I got the sword at least. I'm gonna die the second I get it, but... There you go. But only 4 enemy points, see? Still leveled up, but yeah. Oh, I forgot to charge it up. Oh! That's interesting. Does it get a full charge when it blocks? It looks like it does. I don't know. Maybe if you can figure out how to use this, it's really good. And that would make sense. I don't know, I'd have to watch that back. I couldn't keep my eye on it. Yeah, look how weak that is by itself. Still, being able to delete enemies is pretty cool, even if it costs you EXP. Alright, well, I got back to the Joker. That'll do. I said I'd be happy with that. And I'm happy with that. Yeah, I like when the music goes all ominous. It's pretty cool. Even if it is a bit monotonous the rest of the time. Well, I hope maybe this has sparked some interest in Cross Swords, because it's a fun little game. I haven't fully figured some stuff out, so, you know, maybe the crabs will never be enjoyable. Maybe I'll always have to exploit a bit of magic to get through. But, yeah. Who knows? Maybe you can figure something out about this game and tell me next time. Now, I talked about this before. I talked about streaming arcade games and how I don't really mind because... I mean, if you're in an arcade, you can't stop somebody from coming up and giving you advice anyway, right? So, feel free. I feel like I've figured out enough by myself now to hear a couple of tips if anybody's got any to share. So, give it a shot. See how you get on. Right, the ball is in your court now. Alright, everybody, I'll leave it here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the well wishes. Thanks for watching the videos and all. And, oh, you can play this on the Switch, by the way. It's, although, I don't know, I wouldn't say that there was bad input lag, but I felt like I could feel something. I'm not that tuned into it, but it's pretty cheap, though, on the Switch. So yeah, It's easily available if you want to play it. Alright. Alright, bye bye everybody. Take care. And I'll see you again at some point. I don't know when, but I'll see you again. Alright? Thanks for tuning in. Hope you had a good time. Bye bye everybody.